Are we good? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Recycle Something. And hello to everyone watching live stream. Heather Elsie, our speaker today, is an environmental educator from the city of Fayetteville. She graduated from Oklahoma State with a degree in political science and has a certificate in business sustainability from the University of Cambridge. She moved to Fayetteville in 2016 from Denver, turned in her snowboard for a mountain bike, and has enjoyed getting to explore the trails of Northwest Arkansas with her 8-year-old. I am really excited about this program. I think it's going to be really useful, and I think we will learn a lot. And I'm grateful that Heather said yes to doing it. We have some evaluation slips on the table, and you've got pencils. Please fill those out and turn them in that box on the back table before you leave, anytime before you leave. It's very helpful to us. So that is it for me. Please help me welcome Heather Elsie.
Thanks, Kelly. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. I hate to start this off on kind of a dark note here, but this is pretty wild to think about. It's actually estimated that we would need around 1.78 Earths to sustain human life at current consumption rates. So, of course, we only have one Earth, and so today we're just kind of going to look, at a global perspective, kind of where we're at, and then focus more on local ways that the city is creating programs and ways for you all to get involved. So what does this look at a global level? We're creating over 2 billion tons of waste each year. A lot of that still is ending up in our oceans. As we're shipping products back and forth, you've got things that just fall off, but also a lot of waste that ends up in countries that don't have as stringent environmental regulations as we do. And so because of this, though, we're seeing, these garbage patches. There's 5 main ones. This is the largest. It's called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and it's located just off the coast of California. You can see it's over twice the size of Texas. There have been efforts to clean these up. However, I think we're finally acknowledging we need to turn the tap off first. And right now there's still so much that's being dumped into our oceans. And so now we're finally trying to focus on turning that off and then taking a look at what we can do to clean this up. So what does that look like here in Fayetteville? What are we producing in trash each year? A lot of people will ask me this. So we're actually creating over 77,000 tons of waste. And what does 77,000 tons of waste look like? Well, if you took Razorback Stadium and you filled it like a big cereal bowl full of trash, and then you stacked it on top of itself, 9 stories tall, that is the trash that is being created here in the city of Fayetteville. And now this actually doesn't include the U of A and any of those events. They're actually kind of a city within a city, and they handle their own waste diversion efforts. So that number doesn't even include that. So we're creating a lot of trash, and all of this goes to one landfill. We only have one landfill in Northwest Arkansas. It's located outside of Taneytown, and we can't build another landfill because of the cave systems. It's a beautiful part of the country, and we can't disrupt those cave systems. That's, it connects to our groundwater and our soils. And so a lot of the times people ask me, well, what's wrong with landfills? Well, you think about everything that goes into a landfill. We've tried to make more efforts here locally to pull out, and to engage the public with education around hazardous waste, leftover detergents, fertilizers, herbicides, oils, paints, things like that, and trying to make sure that they don't end up in the landfill. But a lot of it still does. And when it rains on that, it creates what we call leachate. It's a fancy word for trash sludge. And that just seeps. This is where you get contamination in our groundwater, in our soil, And we have a hazardous waste trailer here in Fayetteville. There used to be a hazardous waste facility that was open. It was out at the county, and during 2021, I believe, it was closed. So the city of Fayetteville worked with Boston Mountain Solid Waste, and we now have a hazardous waste trailer. So it's open every Thursday from noon to 1, or from 8 to 1, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it's located just south of town by the transfer station and the Happy Hollow recycling drop-off. So right across the street, there's a big trailer. It says, "Don't be a has-been" on the outside. And usually two good friends of mine, Tim and Valdine, are standing out there, and they can help you sort your hazardous waste. So another thing that we see at landfills are greenhouse gas emissions. So carbons, methane. And a lot of times we don't hear about methane, but it's actually almost 28 times more potent of a greenhouse gas emission. And it comes from organic waste that ends up in our landfill. And as it breaks down, it doesn't have any oxygen. And so it creates methane. But what is sustainability? So we talk about all this doom and gloom of what we're creating, but what is sustainability, and really what can we do? So sustainability is just a big term that means how can we live here on the earth with the resources that we have without jeopardizing future generations to be able to do the same? And what can we do? Well, the UN has created their Sustainable Development Goals. And here in the city of Fayetteville, we're looking at these goals as well and creating our own. And we had a project called Recycle Something. And this was just to engage residents to start somewhere. You don't have to be an expert recycler or composter to get started, but just recycle something. And then with that foot in the door, you're able to take a next step or to learn more and to help others. And here in Fayetteville, we try to make it really easy for our residents to engage in our recycling program. We offer 2 recycling bins for every household. We also have a pay-as-you-throw trash system. So the less trash that you generate, you get a smaller and smaller waste cart. Your trash cart can get smaller, and so you pay less for your monthly trash service. And you get 2 recycling bins, but if you need more, you can always call and have those delivered. And we just ask that all of your paper waste go into 1 bin, and that includes your paperboard, such as like cereal boxes, and your mixed mail, newspaper, anything like that. And then cardboard, we just ask residents to flatten that and put it underneath their recycling bin. Now, in the other bin is where we get a lot of questions about what we take. So we also take steel cans, aluminum cans, all colors of glass, and 2 types of plastic. We take plastic number 1 and plastic number 2, but bottles only. And a lot of people ask me why we only take bottles. So you'll see over here, well, and actually this was my official Can I Recycle This? But then when Kelly reached out, I thought I'd throw, and she said we were gonna put a holiday spin on this. We also call it our naughty and nice list. So when we talk about plastics, and a lot of the times people will bring these to me specifically, either the cups or the clamshells, those foldable to-go containers, we call those clamshells. And if you flip them over, they have the same recycling symbol as the number 1 bottles, and it has the little number 1 in it, and everybody says, Heather, why can't I recycle this with my number 1 bottles? Well, those symbols were actually created by the plastics companies, and all it does is it tells us what base material it started out with. So all of the clamshells and all the water bottles start out with the same base plastic. But then you send them through 2 different productions. One is a blow mold and one is an injection mold. So you either blow the plastic into a form or you inject chemicals and it changes the form of the plastic, and that's what you get with the clamshells. Well, when you use that chemical to do injection mold, like to make plastics, plastic containers, it changes the makeup of the plastic, and then it melts at different temperatures. And so when we send bales of our plastic bottles off to the recycling company, and they have a bunch of those mixed in too, it can gum up their recycling equipment. And so that's why they deduct us and consider it a contamination. It messes up their equipment to have those two items in the same bales. And here in Fayetteville, because of our curb sort program and our drop-offs that are also material sorted, we ship directly to the processors. It's not going to another facility to be sorted. And so that's why it's so wildly important to not only go out and send, they send me out and I do a lot of education, but really having you all come to these classes and learn so that you can help me answer these questions when people ask you. Like, why? This doesn't make sense. It actually does. They just don't melt at the same temperature, and so they can't be mixed together. Plastic bags are also something that we see a lot of the times in our recycling containers, and those mess up our equipment if those are in there. They get stuck in all of the gears in our baler, and so we're constantly trying to educate people on why we can't have those in our recycling streams. So, and now this is a picture of kind of back of the house, what our program looks like at the City of Fayetteville. You've probably, if you're a resident here in the city, you've seen our trucks driving around town and you've seen our amazing recycling drivers. They wake up and get out there crazy early in the morning and they hand sort every bin in the city. And they sort it into these compartments on the truck. And if you haven't ever gotten a close look at one of these two, the white boxes at the very front of the truck, those are compactors. We actually compact the plastics on the truck. And it's the only way that we can get that many plastics on the truck and back to the facility without having to make multiple rounds back to the office to dump. We also, cardboard goes in the back, and you can see as it's sorted, we just unload the truck in the exact reverse order when we get back. And these are the different bays. You can see all of the cardboards here, our mixed paper, and then up here, they pull onto a pad, and it's the same thing. And they release the doors in between each compartment into our steel cans, our aluminum cans, and our glass. And now you can kind of see what it looks like as it goes through the baler. So a lot of the times, especially with cardboard, we have so much coming in and the trucks are so full. We have whole days that are designated for baling cardboard, and it just goes directly onto the baler. And then we send that off, and it is sold to the recycling companies. Cardboard actually goes to Oklahoma. And so this is another reason why, again, it's crazy important to make sure we don't have any contamination. We don't want plastics in with our cardboard because we're not sorting it. We're baling it and shipping it. And you can see this is what I call my recycling art down here. In person, these are even prettier. It's kind of overwhelming. You walk out back, and it's this huge pile of just beautiful colors. But that is our aluminum, our number ones, and our number twos. And then we just wait until we have a full load of an 18-wheeler's worth of material, of any one material, and then we put that out to bid, and we sell that directly to the manufacturers. Number one water bottles are actually a lot of the times made into commercial carpeting and also t-shirts. It's a plastic that it breaks down pretty quickly. You can only recycle it once or twice. And so they try to make it into reusable items such as carpet or clothing. Number twos, there's actually a really cool local company here in Arkansas called Trex Decking, and they make all of their decking materials out of recycled number two bottles. And where I can kind of, I'm not necessarily a huge advocate. I definitely, when it comes to single-use plastics, when it comes to utensils or cups, find that, just wildly frustrating that we're even using plastic for those items. A deck that you will never have to stain for over 200-300 years that's a really great investment. You won't have to stain it, you won't have to paint it, you won't have to replace it. So that's a really great local Arkansas company, and they also use recycled number 2. And number 2s are your laundry detergent, shampoo bottles, that denser, heavier plastic. And it's really cool that they're able to make such a neat product here in the state of Arkansas. This is a really fun slide I love to share with people. Kind of going back to the plastic bags. We don't recycle plastic bags in our program. But if you've ever been to a Walmart or a Harps, at the front of their store, they have a little box that says plastic bags here. Well, this was actually put together, and this shows all of the plastic bags that are included in that. You can put all of these in that same container. So, and this is just, it's any of your soft plastics, the case wrapping on water bottles, the food storage, like your Ziploc bags need to be washed. They can't have any food remnants on them. But you see the air pillows that a lot of packaging or shipping companies are using right now. Those can all go in there. You just don't want to put any of the crinkly plastic. Like if it sounds like the bag inside of a cereal box, that couldn't go in here. But it's that soft, filmy plastic. And all of that can go in with your just regular plastic bags. So what else can we do? Well, really, we can start before we even start talking about recycling. We can just eat green, buy green, and then reduce, reuse, and recycle. And what does that look like? Well, this is a really good example. And my dad is actually a rancher, so he gets really frustrated anymore these days. I consider myself a vegetarian, except when I'm at my dad's house. But it is really cool when you look at this and an impact that we can make with just choosing one meal a day. Like you look at all the resources that go into this, just the 1/4 pound hamburger's worth of meat. And you see the impact that you can make. And so even just choosing one day a week, I always challenge students, you hear that Meatless Monday. And a lot of the schools have started doing that as well. And you can see it's really making an awesome impact on our environment. A few more ways that we can buy green. So before we're ever even talking about having to recycle a product, making those conscious efforts when you're at the grocery store to buy minimal packaging. Or how can I use reusable bottles? Up there in the left-hand corner, you see just some plastic soap dispensers. If you have the single-use soap dispensers, one, you can refill those little plastic bottles. But if you do recycle those, usually it's just the bottle that's recyclable. You do need to remove the pump because it has multiple, 2 or 3 types of plastic and metal in it. So it has to be removed. But if you have reusable, you can just refill it with these large jugs of soap. And it comes in, I actually use this soap here, the biodegradable. This is an unscented one that I use for my laundry and my dishes and just cleaning my house. I use, actually in my reusable hand soaps that are up there, those dispensers, I have one that has tea tree and lavender in it. I just like the smell of it better. But there's lots of different reusable soaps, and this comes in a number 2 jug that can be recycled through the city's program and most likely made into decking. Also up there in the right-hand corner, this is a bag or a basket that I just keep in my Jeep with me. My son, as Kelly mentioned, he's younger and he likes straws and just stopping for frozen yogurt and things like that. So I've tear weighted. If you go to a frozen yogurt store and they do it all by weight. So I have a tear weight. I know I saved it in my phone. Now I just have it memorized of what those reusable cups weigh. And they just take that tear weight out and they let me reuse that cup. Those were actually some spoons that they had given us, and so we just reused those. Reusable straws, coffee cups. There's always just, it's nice just to have like a little basket or something that you can carry with you and cut back on all of those little single-use items that are just going to end up in the landfill. Also, another really fun way to buy green is to shop in the bulk items. We have a couple grocery stores here locally that have bulk, different bulk items. They have some for baking, they have snack items, of course your coffee, things like that. But you can take reusable containers with you to cut back on the the plastic bags. So actually down here, this is one of my favorite ones, is the peanut butter hoppers. And it just grinds your peanut butter, and I just take my glass jar each time, fill that up, and it's really good peanut butter. But also there's honey. My son loves to go through the candies. There's chocolates and gummies and all sorts of things. So if you haven't just gone and explored the bulk item, I challenge you to do so. There's some of my favorite items there. And this is kind of a step-by-step guide on what it looks like to go to use your own container and shop in the bulk items. Because a lot of the times we don't know that tare weight. You get used to it if you use the same size jar pretty regularly. But if you don't know a container's weight, you can just stop by the front desk when you get there and just ask them to give you a tare weight, and they'll weigh it empty. Then you go into the bulk item, you fill that container, and then you get your PLU code of the item. But then when you're checking out, you just let them know the tare weight, and they subtract that empty container weight from the product. Some fun ways to go green this holiday season. When Kelly reached out to me about putting this program together, and we both, were talking about how close it is to the holidays, I thought it'd be fun to kind of just put some ideas together on how we can gift in a green way. And one is, those minimal gift exchanges. So instead of everybody, like if you're gonna get a big group of people together and everybody having to buy gifts, they say 80% of Christmas gifts end up in the landfill within a year. And that's pretty wild. So cutting down on the amount of gifts, it's overwhelming. My son is 9, and I'm constantly trying to come up with ways that his grandparents can gift things that won't just accumulate and be thrown away. This year, his grandparents in Colorado, they called, and it was a year's pass to the trampoline park. Because this way, I can just let him go and run out energy. And that was one of my favorite ones. And I know he's going to be excited. Another one is just gift cards, especially anymore, being able to buy somebody an ebook or music that they can keep on their phone and enjoy throughout the season. I think, anymore, a lot of us really enjoy those items. You think about the things that you use the most and trying to gift those to others, like in experiences or just daily use items, as opposed to those cute one-off gifts that all of us either donate or throw away. Rechargeables, especially with kids. My mom wanted to get my son a remote control car one year. And she heard me pause the moment she was like, no, I've figured it out. She was like, it is a USB rechargeable remote control car, because she knew I was going to hard no on the remote control cars, because the remote needs batteries, the car needs batteries, and one or the other is constantly out of batteries because he'll forget to turn it off or whatever it is. But this, she said, the remote and the car both were USB rechargeable, and so I couldn't argue with her, and my son was very happy. Also, a really great way to shop sustainably is to buy locally, support local business. That helps our local economy, and then also it cuts down on carbon emissions of all of the shipping of packages that are coming in and all of the waste. our office is just flooded with cardboard boxes this time of year. And so going out, enjoying your community, shopping locally, and it really does make a big difference. All those holiday lights, this was one I really wanted to put. Everybody's always asking me, what do I do with old Christmas lights? We actually have 2 drop-offs at both of our recycling centers. You can bring us your holiday lights. I put on here now through January 8th, but as I was confirming this with my boss the other day, he said, yes, that was the plan. However, we never remove them and it's become a year-round project. So we just leave the bins out there and we collect them and we send them off actually in our hazardous waste trailer as they come in, and the metals, the copper wiring and everything is recycled out of those. Holiday tree collection. If you have a real tree, you can set it curbside, just making sure all of the decorations are removed. These trees will actually go directly into our compost facility where we make nutrient-rich soil out of food waste and yard waste. And so just the big ask is making sure all of the decorations have been removed. You can set those next to your trash bin, or if it's after January 31st, you can bring them to our compost site. And now looking at our compost program, this is really exciting. We've been working really hard on this program, and we have now 5 food waste drop-offs for residents. So you can collect your food waste at home and then bring it to one of our drop-off locations where we mix it and we do all of the work for you and create nutrient-rich soil that we sell to residents, and we give out to community gardens and local nonprofits. There's some great ways to get involved at home, and you can start your own compost as well. With a backyard compost, I usually encourage people to stick to your fruits, veggies, and coffee grinds. As a little girl, we sold those bins one year, and I just always love that picture. Now, if you want to divert more food waste, this is our city's compost program. It's a commercial compost, and so we can take a lot of things that you would never want to put in your backyard compost. We can take things like cooked meats, cheeses, bones, breads, dairy, pasta, all that super heavy, gooey stuff that you would never want to put in your backyard compost. We also take BPI certified compostable wares. So if you've been out in the community and you've seen those plastic looking cups with a green stripe on them that say compostable, or some of the local grocery stores even have EcoWare compostable to-go clamshells. They look like plastic. Well, they're actually made out of a corn-based plastic, and our biggest ask is making sure that they are BPI certified. So that's the Bioplastics Institute. And what they do is they certify that compostable plastics are not made with PFAS, PFASs. And those are these forever chemicals that are known to be carcinogenic, and we want to take as all the efforts that we can to make sure it doesn't end up in our compost. So the BPI certification helps us with that. And most of the businesses in town, anytime they're ordering compostables, they'll reach out to us and make sure, and we just continue to ask everybody, even if you're hosting a party at home or you're out and you want to just purchase compostable wares, making sure they have that certification. So I'm going to show you a video real quick that we put together that tells you about our compost program, how it works. It shows some really awesome video, and then afterwards I'll just kind of open it up to any questions you might have.
waste diversion by 2027. This means that the city wants to reduce landfill waste by diverting 40% of that waste to alternate methods of disposal. Food waste alone comprises 18% of Fayetteville's total landfill waste. The food waste that goes into landfills decomposes without oxygen, which creates methane, a greenhouse gas that is 25 times more potent in global warming than carbon dioxide. But food waste can be used to create compost, which grows strong, healthy plants that absorb carbon from the atmosphere. So, what exactly is compost? Well, compost is a chemical-free, natural fertilizer that contains essential macronutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and trace minerals, which are extremely healthy for plants. Did you know that Fayetteville has food waste drop-off locations where food waste is collected and then turned into compost back at our facility? Fayetteville citizens can then buy this compost and use it to boost their gardens, their lawns, and potted plants. This is because compost improves the soil's water retention, texture, pH, and overall health. Now let's take a peek behind the scenes to see how we turn food waste into usable and beneficial compost. First, the food waste is collected from all of the food waste drop-off locations and commercial routes, such as restaurants and schools. Then, it is brought to our compost facility, where it is placed onto a pre-made mixture of 50% ground yard waste and 50% wood chips. This pre-made mixture not only absorbs any excess liquids, but also provides a foundation of microbes during the decomposition process that helps to break the pile down. This pile is referred to as a compost windrow, which is turned several times with our specialized row turner to ensure that the food waste and pre-made mixture is evenly mixed. Next, we add an inoculant, which is a special blend of bacteria and fungi to the windrow pile. This blend works like yeast when making bread, except instead of yeast feeding on sugar, it's a mixture of bacteria and fungus feeding on food waste. Each tablespoon contains around 2.6 billion microbacteria and fungi that repopulate and constantly move through the windrow pile from the outside in. This constant movement pulls air toward the center of the pile that rises out of the top as steam, creating what is known as the chimney effect. Finally, a 6-inch cap of mix is added to the entire outside of the pile. This cap works as a biofilter, an odor control technique that also allows the food waste to reach and maintain high temperatures throughout the pile. The pile then sits for 30 days before being turned again. The microbial activity within the windrow pile creates large amounts of heat that reaches up to 160 degrees. We monitor the temperature daily at different depths and locations to ensure the pile stays warm enough to cook out the evil pathogens, leading to a safe product for your plants. A minimum temperature of 131 degrees Fahrenheit is needed to cook out those pathogens. We take samples from these piles and then send them to a lab to be tested for quality. The food waste is decomposed in the first 30 days, but it takes about 3 months for everything in the windrow pile to be fully decomposed. At the end of the 3-month period, the compost is then sifted through our screener to remove any large debris and create a finer compost. Lastly, it goes through a final 2-week curing period before it's ready. The compost can now be purchased to grow healthy, more environmentally friendly gardens, yards, and potted plants, all of which absorb more carbon from the atmosphere. Composting is just one method of reusing our waste and keeping it out of our landfills. If you are interested about other methods or just want to learn more about our food waste drop-off locations, please feel free to ask us. Thank you for watching this video about our food waste composting program. And remember, waste not, use less.
So yeah, that was a video we put together about a year ago now, and we're super proud. And I feel like no matter how much I talk about the program, it just, it helps explain it so much more clearly than I ever could. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and open up the floor if anybody has any questions.
The 5 collection sites.
Mm-hmm.
I know about the 2 main ones.
Yeah.
Marion Orton and Happy Hollow. Where are the other 3?
There's Trinity United Methodist Church.
Okay.
There's,
It's on Old Wire.
yes, I have, let me find,
Sell the fundraiser.
no, not that one.
Okay.
Trinity is out on 112, isn't it? Harlan?
Yes, that one. And then the other one is over on Mission. So I'm going to show you all our website here. So if you go to recyclesomething.org, maybe. There it goes. No, it didn't. See if I can get it this way. So the other one, though, Margaret's Food Truck, I'm just not good at addresses. So if I tell you these, I'm never going to be able to tell you where they're at. So, but there's a food truck in South Fayetteville that has one, and it's called Margaret's Food Truck. There's Trinity United Methodist, and then our two recycling drop-offs, and then the other church that is over on Mission, compost and food waste. Oh yeah, there's that video. Scroll down here. So now there's the addresses. You have them all up there. So off of Washington is Margaret's Food Truck. Off of Sycamore is Trinity United Methodist. And off of Old Missouri, not Mission. See, I don't know my street names. I'm so sorry. And yeah, off of Old Mission is Good Shepherd Lutheran. You would think after living in this city for 5 years, I would figure this out, but.
No, it's not an easy city to learn.
I don't know, I'm always mixing up Old Missouri and Mission, but then when I really think about it, big difference, Heather. But. Yes.
First question. There's been recent information about gift items on the square. Is there any particular day that those, it's kind of like farmers market board.
Mm-hmm. For like Christmas specific, like gifting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would go to the.
There are a lot of individual vendors on that.
Yeah.
Do that too.
I would go to the farmers market website. They're going to have all of that listed out. It's such a great resource. They have their own website.
I was wondering about those PFAs.
Oh, the PFAS. Yeah.
How long lived are they in animal tissue?
Yeah. I have not read the report. All I know about them is they're considered forever forever chemicals that, I mean, will never, they don't digest or go anywhere.
They're going away, and, you know, you hear about microplastics that are
Yeah, in all of us.
in the water that
Yeah.
is inside those plastic.
Yeah, water is a whole nother conversation. We just started talking about even, you know, you think about pretty much any pharmaceutical you put in your body, it leaves your body, it gets flushed down a toilet, at some point it ends up back in our water system. So even a conversation around, you know, pharmaceuticals, microplastics, it's, you know, the cleaning, you know, a lot of the time people ask me about cleaning products. And you saw the Dr. Bronner soap that I have up there, but there's definitely other brands now that have branched out into making sure there's no the colors. Those colors are wildly toxic to our environment, to our health, to wildlife habitats, and the colors and chemicals that we put in our soaps are just washing down our drains on a daily basis. So. That's kind of where it goes back to that buying green, you know, when you're standing there at the store, being able to make those like really important decisions.
One thing you pointed out that I've been out to the compost facility and I've bought compost and all that sort of thing, and I can remember the first time too I used compost, didn't think too much about it. But then when the food compost came about, I thought, okay, good. Maybe not. When I think about yard waste, most of the yard waste comes from landscape, people that work the landscapes to collect the clippings, and
The
I would
chemicals.
suspect 90% of those or more are chemically treated. So I don't use even the food compost for garden foods.
Compost is not necessarily, you're going to find some of it, you're not going to find as much. You're going to find it mostly anywhere anyway. It's going to be washed from rain, from your neighbors, you know, things like that. It's definitely something that we're all learning, like what it looks like to live with. But the compost does cook out a lot, not all.
And cook out the chemicals.
Not the chemicals, but like the seeds and stuff, things like that.
I compost a lot anyway.
And pathogens from food. What
Yeah.
is it? You compost a lot of your own at home?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yard waste, and this time of the year it's leaf pickup, and
Yeah.
I even have to have something to turn it. I can't physically turn it with a fork. So
Yeah, I've been really happy with the compost and the test results that we've gotten back, but I also have an at-home compost where I do a lot with just my fruits and veggies.
it was good to know about those other alternatives for meat and dairy product kinds of things, because I don't put those out in the compost.
Yeah, and so it's nice to have an alternative, like if you get home and you realize your yogurt's gone bad or something. So.
But I'm still not going to use city
Because of the
food
chemicals.
compost on the vegetable garden.
Yeah, because we
Or
don't.
even fruit trees.
Yeah, I mean, people can bring us their yard waste from anywhere. So.
Yeah. And I know they do that. They have to.
Yeah. I think while I was standing here talking about these drop-offs, it did register with me though. If you are a business owner or you know of a business owner in either the east, north, or west sides of town, you will notice that most of these drop-offs are kind of in the central and south part of the city. We're trying to reach out to business owners now that we've gotten these established and they're working. We're seeing the numbers that all of these drop-offs continue to go up, which is really exciting, and we're seeing very low contamination. But asking business owners, property owners that may have space to set up a drop-off at their location, we're really looking at the east, north, and west sides to try and expand our food waste program.
Yeah. In Tulsa, where I used to live, there's Sun Compost, and that's a company much like our city is doing.
Mhm.
Only this is, I don't think it's part of the city. I think it's.
Yeah, it's
separate.
private. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They have containers, they have restaurants willing to have containers, and people can bring their own compost and put it in those containers.
Yeah.
And then they pick up the containers. I don't know how much that costs, how well it
And
works.
that's kind of what we have as well. So we have almost, I think it's 40 restaurants and businesses that are participating in our compost program, but they just haven't chosen to be a drop-off. So if you're not a drop-off, we try and keep it a really reasonable rate. It's just over $16 for a business to participate per month. They get 3 weekly pickups every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we supply 6 months of the compostable BPI certified bags. They really don't mind that part of it in collecting their own food waste. It takes it to another level when we ask to be a drop-off. Now, if you are a drop-off, it's free. You don't have to pay the monthly fee, and you get all the bags you need for free. But we do ask that an employee is monitoring the drop-off throughout the day. So at each of these locations, we have people that have agreed to monitor the compost to make sure that non-compostable items don't end up in it. So that, I think, is a big ask and why it's been a little challenging to find more partners to be drop-offs.
Understandably.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I just really appreciate you all coming out, and I think this is my favorite part of these outreach programs is being able to engage with public and residents that are interested, because now you all can go out and answer questions because they come up in conversations, just, if you're out eating with friends or at a local community group. And so you all become advocates for the program now. So I appreciate you taking the time to join me, and feel free to reach out. My contact information, I can pull it back up, or you can just reach me at the city's recycling and trash department anytime. So thank you so much. Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah.